Hello, family members. Hope you're having a nice day today. I want to talk about something that I first saw talked about on the Majority Report with Sam Cedar, and that I haven't really seen discussed much in other media I've watched, but I have been able to confirm it independently with other news sources. So it's not, that there's any dubiousness to the story. It's just that for some reason it's not getting reported, and I want a signal boost. I think this is a pretty important detail that people aren't talking about. So, this topic is something that's kind of sensitive to talk about, because if I use the wording that best applies, it may very well cause problems for the algorithm and not want to show this video to anybody. And so you're kind of left at this point where it's like, do you censor yourself in the hopes that more people will hear you? Or do you not censor yourself and then nobody hears you? Or almost nobody hears you, you know? So I may be a little discreet or circumspect in my wording at times. But I want to talk about this propaganda that one of the candidates for president this year that has like a 50-50 chance of winning is spreading. And the source of that propaganda, too. That's sort of important. So apparently the Springfield dog and cat story is something that has been perpetrated, spread, sort of started with a very bigoted racist group, and a man from that group coming to like a public function and spreading these lies. And it was called out during this actual hearing that he is a member of a National Socialist Party kind of guy, if you get my drift. Like he's a big fan of well, hating on all minorities. And yeah. So yes, you know what? Screw it. No, I can't beat around the bush. It doesn't suit me at all. He's a neo-Nazi. This is neo-Nazi propaganda. This is literally neo-Nazi propaganda that's being spread by Donald Trump, a former president and current presidential candidate. A person who within a few months could be in the White House is currently spreading, actively spreading, doubling down on spreading neo-Nazi propaganda. And that's a little concerning, don't you think? Like, I think that would be, like, if, that would be maybe the first thing I would discuss when talking about this topic, is that he is spreading neo-Nazi propaganda actively. And he's hanging out with Laura Loomer, who has, I mean, the only reason I know who she is I've seen clips of her on the Tim Pool show, where she says that, like, all Democratic politicians are traitors and they deserve a execution, death sentence for their treachery. Like, it's kind of creepy. Like, I'm getting like better watch out Melania kind of vibes here. I don't even know, but and it's not too far out of the realm of possibility that that woman could be given some sort of position within the White House if he wins. So it's getting more and more overt, and it doesn't seem like there's as much of a panic as there should be over this. Because, again, neo-Nazi propaganda. Like, literally. You know, he's out there saying it at his rallies. It's repeated on the national news every night. And as far as I know, I don't believe that every time they're talking about this, saying, this is neo-Nazi propaganda. This is neo-Nazi propaganda. You know, I just, I mean, where we are in this country is so screwed up. We're so messed up, you know, like, I was thinking about it, like, you know, when they were talking about Trump and Laura Loomer, I've seen a few different things about, you know, like him praising her, him taking her to a 9/11 commemoration, even though she's a 9/11 truther. I mean, considering who he, you know, put in cabinet last time, and like the whole Betsy DeVos thing, I have never had any association with a public school in my life, but I'm gonna run them now. He's such a jerk. He's literally just like, you tell me I can't do that, I'm going to do that. You want me to put the worst person possible in? I'm going to do it. You know, like, what? What? And I mean, I feel like we're so tired of his antics. You know, he's been saying ridiculous stuff and you know, even before, you know, like, I would say probably starting during Obama's era when he made his name by being a birther. He's been saying it. Well, I mean, honestly, I mean, he called for the execution of the exonerated five. So it's a good thing that nobody listened to him about that. Would have been pretty bad if they got exonerated after they'd been executed because Donald Trump demanded it, you know? Oh my gosh. This is not the person that we need to be in charge of anything. Like, he just needs to go spend some time in his lovely club that his neighbors didn't even want him to live in, but, you know, he got away with it because he's him and he gets away with whatever. And I think that's the thing that maybe people don't realize about him is that he doesn't really care about much except for what he can get away with. And there's no honor in that, you know? Like, it's one thing to occasionally cut a corner here or there. You know, I think we all do that. We can't always live up to our own standards, even if we try really, really hard. But he doesn't have any standards, you know? The only thing that he cares about is himself. There's nothing more to it than that. It's not exciting or fancy or anything. I mean, there's no one he wouldn't throw under the bus or take advantage of if the situation benefited him. And the only reason that he's nice to someone is because they're willing to live in his reality and not contradict him and tell him that he's wrong about anything ever. You know, I kind of feel sorry for a person like that. You know, his soul is so corrupted and he has no idea. You know, he has no idea how warped he is. And you know, people have been talking about J.D. Vance making a comment about Taylor Swift being a out-of-touch billionaire. And then people being like, well, you know, Donald Trump, out-of-touch billionaire. And it's like, yeah, you know, like, literally this man knows nothing about anything that normal people live with or deal with, you know? I mean, we've got a choice between a man who basically has never really had legitimate work in his life. He's just a con man, out there trying to sell whatever and hustle. And, and then we have a person who is a freaking McDonald's employee, like how much more relatable is that? Like my first job when I was a kid, when I was 18 years old, I worked at Burger King, so yeah, it's pretty relatable. I can imagine what her experience was like, and she can, at least to a certain extent, imagine what my experience is like. And he can't. He cannot. And he wouldn't want to. He wouldn't feel like that was worth his time, understanding other people. Why would you want to do that? You know? You try to do a good enough job to get what you want on any circumstance. And it doesn't matter if it's, paper thin. That's fine, as long as it's good enough. And I guess that's maybe why he was so susceptible to picking up this Nazi propaganda. For a long time, I didn't really believe that he was racist to his core. Like, I just felt like he was the kind of person who didn't really care about anything, and being racist was just something that he did because it got him attention or got him, you know, that's what people expected of him or whatever. But I mean, eventually it was like, oh yeah, no, he is just generally extremely racist. If you're black or brown, he thinks you're lesser as a human being. And so, yeah, I guess that would make him susceptible to believe Nazi propaganda. And then now that he's made it a talking point, he can never be wrong, so he can't stop saying it. But it's not true because, again, it's neo-Nazi propaganda. It was made up to try to, like, vilify legal immigrants. Legal immigrants, because they may say that what they hate is illegal immigrants or illegal immigration, but that's not true. They just don't like anyone who isn't white. And immigrants who aren't white become an easy scapegoat for them to say what they want and what they believe without admitting that it's just racism. And I think that kind of goes back to, occasionally you'll hear Republicans talking about things and they'll be like, well, Republicans don't want to be called racist and black people don't want to be discriminated against or whatever. And it's like, those are not the same. Like being called a racist is not an insult. It's not something that, like, it's not the same as being like, you're a bad person. It's not a status either. I don't know how to say this really. It's being called racist isn't an insult. You shouldn't get upset if you're called racist. You should take a moment and think, is this true? And if it is, educate yourself. Like, feedback is not an insult. Telling somebody that something they're saying is out of pocket is actually, a kindness in a way. And yet people are so resistant to that feedback. Like, I want to know if I say something or do something that is showing my racial biases. Like, I do. Because I can't fix what I don't know is there, My hair's going crazy. I'm sorry about this, but like, seriously, it's not a bad thing to have someone point out something that you've done that you could do better. And this like weird culture that we have of being like afraid of feedback, not wanting to hear feedback, avoiding hearing feedback on purpose, willfully avoiding feedback. It's not helpful to us, you know? And so when somebody gives Trump the very valuable feedback, oh, by the way, that story that you're hearing, it's not true. He can't hear it because he doesn't value feedback. He doesn't understand that it's a gift and not an insult. And I don't even know how do you deal with a politician, somebody who wants to be in power, who literally cannot accept any feedback? That's not an effective leader. An effective leader is the kind of person who can look at themselves and see where they've messed up and be honest with themselves and not try to sugarcoat things or pretend things are better than they are in order to like present some image that's not right, not real, you know? It frustrates me. Oh, watch the little microphone, baby boy. Oh, he's a good boy. So, no. If Soxy goes back to Ohio, nah. I don't think you ever actually went to Ohio, did you? I don't know. His previous owners live in Columbus, Ohio. So, if Soxy were ever to go visit him, he'd be safe. Even if it was Springfield, Ohio, and not Columbus, Ohio. I mean, first of all, like, wildlife exists, people. if if people were wanting to kill animals just to eat them, why would they take people's pets that somebody might care about when there's like, you know, possums and raccoons and skunks and squirrels and all sorts of things that people eat, rabbits in Ohio? I mean, like, you know, there's like a lot better options than people's pets. Like, pets have not been bred to have a whole lot of meat on them, you know? I mean, that's not the point of a pet. So, oh, Soxy. Well, Soxy and I just want you to know that you're a cool person for watching them. And we love you. And he likes to purr. And neo-Nazis suck. You know? That's the end of that's that. Being racist is being actively, willfully racist is just silly and dumb, and you're hurting yourself too. And you know, if you're not taking the time to look at your own racial biases and confront them and do better, then now's your chance. Go for it. Because it's not ever going to get more important than it that is right now, I think, with the neo-Nazi propaganda being spouted on, you know, the national news nightly. So, yay. All right. Take care of yourself and everybody else. Mwah.